Hey guys, Rexter here, and in today's video, we're going to be going over Captain Warrington's Plaze Maze, the latest Zed Technician horror game. And let me tell you, this one is actually pretty scary. Unlike other Zed Technician horror games, this one actually has jump scares, and the plot behind it is pretty disturbing. And we're not only going to be covering the storyline of the game, but also the dark secrets that lie behind those scary pirate eyes. So if that sounds good to you, go ahead and grab a popcorn and a drink, and let's go ahead and dive in. So the game starts off as a young mother by the name of Betty Ann takes her son Albert out to eat at the well-known Warrington burger establishment. After complimenting the food, and of course recognizing that the service was great, the mother decides to head off to the bathroom. Young Albert, being left alone at the table, takes a look at the tunnels. Having inside conflict with himself, knowing he's not supposed to leave the table and head to the tunnels by himself, Albert seems to hear a voice in his head calling him. After putting up a little bit of a fight, eventually Albert gives in and makes his way over to the forbidden tunnel section of the restaurant. Now, even though there's a giant "Do Not Enter" sign on the door, Albert decides to walk in and walk straight up to this very odd-looking pirate mascot character. He tells the pirate that it's hard to hear what he's saying. It sounds like he is very, very far away. With nowhere else to go, Albert decides to at least give the play area a chance. Hitting Control to crouch, we begin to crawl through the creepy tunnel. As we begin to crawl through, things look innocent enough. Bright colors, and of course, a nice little ball pit area. However, once hitting the end of the tunnel, things look a lot different. The atmosphere is now cold and dark, and Albert seems lost. The restaurant from which he just came from is no longer there, but instead replaced with a dark and dreary, hellish version of it. However, one thing has still remained the same. That creepy pirate mascot is still in his same exact spot, and this time Albert can hear him a little bit better. These tunnels almost serve as a strange portal between one world and another, and that is why this pirate wasn't able to be heard from the other side of the real world. However, once crossing over into the next dimension, Albert's able to speak to this man, and he has quite the plans for him. Eventually, Albert says that he can hear him better, and the pirate begins to explain exactly what he needs from him. But more on that later, as our story is going to take a brief pause. As the screen fades to black, we come across a Rottweiler woman whose name is Ashley, explaining how after a bad order, a man threw his entire food plate all over her. Ashley's explaining this unfortunate circumstance to Penny, the store manager. However, Penny recognizes something is a little bit out of place. Penny notices that the maze door has been opened and somebody looks like they've been in the tunnels. Seeming a bit concerned, both of them make their way over to the maze, asking why corporate hasn't put a lock on the door yet. The game then gives you the option to pick Ashley, who's a lot faster than Penny, however can make mistakes of going the wrong way in the tunnels, or Penny, the manager who can determine dead ends at a first glance. It's very, very important that you choose wisely at this point. In my playthrough, I went with Ashley because I decided to take speed over, I guess, knowledge. As Ashley makes her way into the tunnel, she remembers a handbook that she got in the past. This handbook not only allows her to see her tasks, but also has a countdown. The goal is to escape the maze before the 12 minutes on the stopwatch run out. And if you don't, well, let's just say it's not going to be good. Ashley's goal is to pass through 6 different levels of the maze, each with a different puzzle that makes it more complicated. And she needs to do it before the boy reaches the supply closet in the 6th world, because that is where the pirate will get what he needs. Once making it through the tunnel and all of its courses, Ashley gets out into the 1st world location. The handbook explains that it might look like the restaurant, but this is an entire new world. And, of course, Ashley needs to make her way back over to the counter to retrieve the key to the next realm. Eventually stumbling upon the key, there is also a nice little note that was left behind. The note is signed by the Waring Brothers Corporation, and it states that all management staff needs to be advised. Due to declining profit margins, major changes have been approved by the board and CEO. Much research was conducted and many potential problems were brought up, including recent steep price increases, declining food quality, and semi-ethical ingredient sources. After careful deliberation, the decision has been made to create a company mascot in order to address the issues. To summarize, the company is going through some hard financial times, and their goal is to not improve the food, however, make a cool new mascot that will bring in more people. However, Ashley picks up the key and moves her way back over to the tunnel system again. However, the pirate looks to be a bit out of place this time. Not thinking much of it, Ashley gets into the tunnel and heads over to the second world. Repeating the process of the first night, Ashley makes her way over to the counter, picks up the key, and reads the note. And it looks like the Waring Burger Corporation has decided upon their new mascot. It will be a pirate and being sent out to every location in the next couple of weeks. Once reading the note and everything seems to look a bit normal, Ashley heads back over to the maze. However, getting a nice little jump scare from our new pirate friend. At this point, it's getting quite obvious. As we pass from world to world, it looks like our friend here can move as well. Fast forwarding to the third world, we come across another note. This note states that the marketing team has passed this new mascot with a unanimous vote of 12-0. However, weirdly enough, the ethics division tried to put a halt to this design, stating that it was an extreme moral and safety concern. However, this decision was subsequently overruled by the CEO, and no matter what they're trying to put a hold to, this character is getting shipped out regardless. The note also describes that Captain Warrington's statue was made from a wooden base, bone and ash base paints, and a replica clothing, which seems a bit odd. A mascot who is made with wood base and bone ashes? Seems like a recipe for disaster, but more on that later. Ashley heads her way back over to the tunnels, makes her way through the maze. This time the puzzle's getting a little bit harder, and of course makes her way back out and over to the counter again. However, in this fourth night, you will notice that Captain Warrington seems to be moving closer to something or someone. He's moved his way from the maze and almost halfway through the restaurant. Reading the note in this fourth world, we get a little bit more information on why and how he's moving. The note states that this mascot has actually been a huge hit, bringing in record profits to each location. But it does state something very interesting. Apparently, the bone and ash-based paints that have been combined inside of his body are bringing subtle mind and space-altering effects to the customers. And when in close proximity with Captain Warrington, apparently the customers are feeling the need to buy more food. But that is not even the weirdest part. Apparently, some locations have reported a sudden appearance of a large and colorful tube maze. Now, I don't know about you, but if a giant tube maze decided to just pop up in the middle of nowhere, it would be pretty concerning. But of course, as always, money talks, and the CEO decides to keep him in every single location, ball maze or not. As Ashley makes her way through the maze in the fifth world and arrives eventually at the next level, she notices that Captain Warrington has made his way very close to what looks like a supply closet. Not sure what to make of it, we read the final note. This note is no longer signed by the Warrington company, but instead by a whistleblower. This said whistleblower seems to have worked with the ethics division before corporate dissolved it, stating that they can't be trusted and they've gone mad with power, and that mind control is an acceptable franchise burger practice. And though they haven't figured out a way to stop the captain's statues, they have found a way to reduce its effectiveness. Thus the reason why there was a no entry sign on all of the doors. The captain must be placed inside of the maze room and never let out. However, if he is let out, do not, and I repeat, do not let him anywhere near the supply closet. And that is how we discovered Captain Warrington's plan. Captain Warrington is trying to lure young Albert into the supply closet. in an attempt to switch bodies with him. And fast forwarding to night 6, we see just that. The next glimpse of Captain Warrington is him standing right in front of the supply closet with none other than Albert himself. Seeming to arrive just in time, Ashley finds the young boy, who looks to be in some sort of a trance. Not knowing where he is or how he got there to begin with, Ashley seems to snap the young boy out of it, grabbing the key that he found earlier and making their way back over to the tunnel. And after navigating through this last and final tunnel object and just barely making it out with enough time, we are met with quite the surprise as Captain Warrington himself comes jumping out of the ball pit to stop us. Making our way past him very quickly and seeing the last and final note from the whistleblower explaining that they are in quite the battle with corporate. Having signed an NDA, they cannot go public with this information, and from now will continue to fight their secret war from the shadows, planning their next course of action. Thankfully, however, Albert and Ashley make it out of the tunnel just fine, meeting not only his mother, but also Penny. Of course, with a worried Betty Ann, Penny seems to calm her down and explain that this happens quite often. Thanking both employees, Betty Ann and her son Albert head home for the day, leaving the other two there. The women explain how time works differently inside of the tunnels. Obviously, 12 minutes seems like 12 seconds on the outside. And when raising her concerns with the tunnels and eventually getting destroyed or at least locked, Ashley asks Penny if things will ever change, to which Penny says, most likely not, leaving us with the possibility of this strange pirate mascot having the opportunity to chase another child down once again. And that, my friends, is how this game wraps up. If you enjoyed this story explained, do me a big favor. Hit that like button to show your support, and if you're new to the channel and haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. I also definitely recommend that you check out this Zed Technician game for yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Till then, peace out!